I was initially terrified of people asking me how long we've been in business
Oh yeah.
or like ask for a reference. So this job also came out of nowhere. I just got a random phone call from somebody. It was like kind of a perfect situation. It's 4 courts. I was like, no way. So like the next day I went did a site visit and one of the first things they asked me was how long have you been doing this? They actually even said, are you a certified Sportmaster installer? And so I just said, hey guys, look,
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Court Pro podcast, where we encourage and equip you with everything you need to start and grow a thriving court business to fuel your family's vision. Every episode, you'll hear interviews, trainings, and conversations revolving around the hard and soft skills of athletic court construction and surfacing, plus some bonus tips on how to grow as a father as you run your business. My name's Joe, and I'm a husband and father of 4 kids. I was able to bring in $300,000 of revenue in year 1 of my surfacing business and over $1 million in year 2. This business has blessed my family tremendously, and I'm super excited to help you guys, other hardworking dads, create a true economic engine for your own family. If you'd like to learn more about what entering into a season of court business coaching might look like for you, visit courtprocoaching.com to see more details about our exclusive content and community of fellow court installers across the country. Let's jump into today's episode. Awesome, guys. Welcome to our latest video. I'm here with my good friend, Kaleb Dees from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
what's up, Joe?
I'm going to give a quick intro on Kaleb, and then I'm going to let him finish out his own intro because you are you. So, yeah, Kaleb is my oldest court partner friend. We've both been at this for a few years now, and yeah, we've been connected through a couple different channels, but you and I have kind of been parallel on the court journey. Tell us a little bit to maybe kick us off. Tell us a little bit about your family, this season of life, and yeah, I'm going to start drilling into your story and how the heck you ended up doing courts. But yeah, give us a little intro on Kaleb.
Yeah, man. Well, all right, let's see. How many kids do I have now? 3. We're up to 3 now.
That's not very high to count, but I know you're working on it.
We had one of our kids year 1 of our business, so that was a smart idea.
Same.
So we got a 4-year-old, 2-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So pretty busy. About a family.
Yeah, so you got three kids. You're in Myrtle Beach. How did you get connected with even thinking about courts? Maybe tell us a little bit about what you were doing before you jumped into this world, and what was that transition like?
Yeah, well, growing up, my dad ran a pest control company in the town of Grovetown. He started it, ran it for 40 years, and eventually sold it and retired. When I went to school in the coastal Carolina, I picked business management because it was the most generic sounding major for somebody who didn't know what they wanted to do. So I got a business management degree. So it's funny, I'm actually using the degree now. Not my focus.
Yeah, a roundabout way to get there, but you are using it, right?
Yeah. Went through a lot of like crazy personal stuff in college. There was a church that started on the college campus and I got connected there and really turned my whole life around. Led to an internship. And then like a year after I graduated, I actually came on staff at the church. I worked there for 10 years. Really enjoyed working at the church. I've always enjoyed every job I've ever had. I just enjoy learning new things and figuring it out and doing it well.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty content generally. It was a good job, great environment. I loved what I did. But I really started thinking more long-term about, I think it was when I turned 30. And then when we started having kids, I was thinking more about long-term. So the question that was posed to me that really changed the way I thought about career and long-term stuff was, it was an exercise to write down the names of myself, my wife, my kids 10 years from now and our ages 10 years from now. And just made me think, okay, 10 years from now at the time, it's like, okay, I'm going to be 40. Our oldest is going to be 12. And I'm like thinking through like what life is going to be like in 10 years. And you can keep going farther, 20, 30 years. And I just was like, if my life looked the way it does today, would I be happy? Would I be proud? Would I feel like I'm stewarding best in my life in a way that honors the Lord? And I really didn't feel like it did. Not because there's anything wrong with what I was doing, but just because I felt like I was not pushing myself to do more for my family and thinking long term. So I wanted to build assets for my family. I want to build a business that my children wanted to help with or take over one day, that they could do that. And so I just made a bold step to step off staff at the church I was working at. I had no idea like what career path I wanted to take. I knew I wanted to start a business. That was it. So I had no idea of any industry. I just kind of enjoy everything. So it didn't like grow up in construction or I grew up around business, but had no idea what I wanted.
Yeah.
How did I get connected to this, Joe? I think me and you got connected. I met you, and then I knew what you were doing. And
Yeah, we were kind of in a similar family business accelerator
yeah,
community. And I'm really just like a year ahead of you. So I think I was a guest on a podcast or a video training. And then I think
yeah,
that kind of piqued your interest.
yeah. I remember there was a long period where my wife and I were just like trying to think of any random business idea. And you had we were very interested in what you were doing, mainly because I knew you and like I had a resource, like somebody I could like talk to about it. And one
Yeah.
day we're just sitting. I'll never forget. We're sitting in our living room, and Taylor was just like, "Caleb, you just need to go fly to Cincinnati, go work with Joe for a week, see if you like it, and then if you do, great. If you don't, that's fine too. Just go." So it's like, okay, like so. I think it
Okay.
was
Well, I gotta pause you there because that's been so key for me and so key for anybody that's like the first thing I heard you say is like you just changed your mindset to okay, I'm 30 and like when you're in your 20s and certainly younger, you're like I've got all the time in the world. So I'm living for the here and now. And then like you said there's something that shifts when you have kids, when you get married, you have kids. And so then you start to think about okay, what trajectory am I on? Not, what degree, not a 4-year trajectory, like what degree am I going to get or something, but like yeah, what does my family look like, what does our life look like, yeah, what do our finances look like, what am I how have I grown in all of these different ways, intellectually, financially, spiritually, whatever. And so that's but then the real key as you made the shift with the business thinking more business building is what you just said, your wife Taylor, like go for it. And so as a man, I know I need that. I need a wife, I need a partner that says you can do it and if you fail, like I told you to go for it. And so like as a man that's a big deal.
right.
So
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
I think one of the things that was paralyzing me in that process was I wanted to find a business idea that was the perfect business idea that I knew was going to succeed, and I wanted it to just have this light bulb moment. Where it's like, damn, that's it. That's what we're doing.
Right.
Think that the mentality was, you know what? Let's just go try to start something, and we're going to learn so much about industry and business that maybe we do it and we try it and then we just pivot to something different.
Right.
That didn't end up being the case. We know how the story goes, you and I do. But yeah, I went to Cincinnati, spent, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 days with you and realized, okay, this isn't super intimidating.
You kind of came twice.
Yeah.
You came like 2 or 3 days just to I remember it was like
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just going to kind of watch and I'll help a little bit, but I don't know if this is it. And
Yeah. The first visit was like, let me just see what this is. The second
yeah.
visit was like, all right, let's do this. I need some more training. And that was key. I mean, by the time I came back that second time, which is only like a couple weeks apart,
Yeah.
I decided let's do this. And after the second visit, I got to touch pretty much every part of court surfacing with you.
Yes.
Tons of time in the car with you, also just to talk through stuff. That was like a perfect scenario for me. And that's what's so hard to find. Like it's hard to find people like that you can spend time with and have some in the car to ask questions. It's hard to do that. I mean, you got to find the right people to be able to make that job. So that was huge.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then from there,
Truck time's a big deal. Yeah. Just asking all the questions, all the reservations.
right.
Like, okay, we're sitting next to each other. Joe, how is this going really?
Right.
Like, thanks for showing me how to do that back there. But like, yeah, how's this going really for your family? And yeah,
Yeah.
that was fun.
I've got a whole, like, I still got the Apple Notes. I've got like I mean, it's a super long notes app from all of our conversations during those couple weeks. And
Yeah.
that was like my Bible when I first started this stuff. So I would
Yeah.
reread over it. It was just like the only resource I had.
Okay, so you do that training, you've got the mindset, you've got the support from your wife, you come twice to hang out with me and my crew, and then you say, all right, we're doing this. I am calling myself a court surfacer. Like, so a big part of what I want to drill into with you as your story unfolds is, okay, what did having this, because this is a big deal for a lot of guys, whether you're doing court business or any business or anything that kind of falls into that category of what you just said, which is like, I don't know if this is the thing, but what I do know is I have to do something. And so with that though comes, the big, hairy monster of imposter syndrome. So tell me a little bit about those first few weeks, first 6 weeks, first couple months where you're like, all right, I'm saying this is who I am, but like, how do I actually become this thing? How do
Yeah.
we do this?
It's funny, like whenever, because people identify so much career. One of the first things we ask somebody in a conversation is, "Well, what do you do?"
Right.
It was like I was instantly just deciding, "Well, I'm a court surfacing guy. Like that's what I do."
Yes.
And I felt like I was lying because I mean, I barely feel like I knew enough. I mean, I knew, I knew enough from our trainings, but like I still had so much to learn. I had no idea what I was doing, and just saying it when people would ask, and like even just like reaching out to a lawyer to get my LLC, just putting in an email, "Hey, I'm starting a company. I'm starting a business, and I need this
Yes.
EIN number or whatever." Just little things like that. It was so. But I'll tell you, I will never forget. Kind of jumping forward a little bit. I know we might
That's
come.
great.
The first phone call I made to a client, it was a lead sent to me by Sportmaster. It was just a name, an email address, a phone number. They want to build a record their house. I remember hyping myself up so much for this phone call. I was so nervous. I put earpods in. I wanted to go walk. It just makes me less anxious if I'm walking and not sitting.
Oh yeah.
I was outside and almost like a script. I was playing in my head what every potential question I might be asked. And I just didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was talking about. I definitely felt that way. What ended up happening was like on this phone call, I probably gave the client way more information that they cared to know about.
Just dumped on
Just
them.
because I
man.
just was like trying to like make sure that I looked legit, and
Yeah.
I just was way too much information for and it was crazy. It was like, okay, great, that's awesome. Well, send me your contract, and I was like, all right. So I remember talking to you like constantly. I was like, how much should I put that first book together?
Yeah.
And it was just like a couple of days. It was like almost instantaneously we got the job and got a deposit, and it's crazy.
And you
But
screwed it up, right? Like it was terrible and you didn't know what you're doing.
well, that's a different topic for a different podcast. But
Okay.
yeah, the client was over the moon with us, and of course,
No, you killed it. Yeah. Awesome. That's great, man. Okay. So you land that first customer. So that was a Sportmaster lead. So maybe talk a little bit about your connection with Sportmaster and how that kind of helped you get
Yeah.
through that first barrier of how do I get a lead?
Yeah. Well, your advice to me when I was with you in Cincinnati was, I think you actually Googled it for me. You found that there was a Sealmaster near me.
Yes.
It was only like 15 or 20 minutes from my house. So I just like showed up there one day. I just walked in. After it's a franchise. So they're all over the country. And there was one really close to us. So I just showed up one day and walked in. The guy came out and I just kind of told them, hey, I think I'm going to start a business and just trying to get to know a supplier.
Good, man. So bold.
He connected me to a guy with Sportmaster. Sportmaster is the sport servicing product of Sealmaster, which is like the parent company. They do like seal coating products and stuff. And he said, yeah, this guy does trainings for contractors to be like a certified installer. They go through him. And so I contacted him, and what Sportmaster does, they send you leads. So if you become a certified installer, they send you leads that come through. They have really good marketing. So their website's really nice. If you like Google pickleball court construction, they're going to show up on that search result. And so they get like, there's like a locate an installer button. And so because he knew I wanted to train, he was like trying to find me the right lead so that he could come and train me on a job. And it happened really quick. I was actually shocked. I mean, it was not long at all after I called him that he had one for me.
Was that the, I'm trying to remember, was that a residential job or was that I want to get into the country club job too that you,
No.
Yeah.
No, that was a residential job.
So he came and helped train you on that job?
Yeah, well, so what ended up happening is he sent me that lead to do my training with that job. Well, between the time that he sent me that lead and I got it, I got more jobs that he didn't send. I got two.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
This all happened like at the very end of the year. So I only had time to sneak a couple jobs in, and I ended up doing 3. Well, he ended up training me on the bigger job that came because I wanted him to train me on that one rather than the small residential. He ended up kind of pretty close to each other. So when he came that week, we actually kind of bounced between the two. And so, yeah, that's how it happened.
Well, I remember too, like when you got this lead for this four pickleball courts at a country club, you're like, we were strategizing like, okay, like you've never really done a job before. How are you going to do 4 courts? And so there were different, you do have to get creative, but there are a lot of these suppliers will come and train you. So, and that's not just unique to Sportmaster. So if you do have a job where, they're asking you to bid it, there's different things that you can do in terms of, just leveraging, training opportunities. So I know for you, that was a big, maybe you could talk about it. Like you had you use that leverage to really win that job because you've got these. As soon as you want to be honest about the fact that you're new,
Right.
so but you also want to develop some kind of competency. Let's talk about how that worked out, strategizing, like convincing the customer that you could do this forecourt pickleball surfacing job.
Yeah, I was initially terrified of people asking me how long we've been in business
Oh yeah.
or like ask for a reference. And I think I just
Mm.
kind of came to terms with the fact that I was always going to be honest, but also have a solution to any concerns they might have. So, because I that stuff is in my control. So, yeah,
Yes.
this job also came out of nowhere. In fact, the day it came, this lead came. I remember like I was actually kind of at a low spot. I just felt like, what have I done? Like I was doing a lot of efforts of trying to find leads and stuff, and you know how it is, and it doesn't always materialize super quickly. A lot of times there can be long processes with people before you get a contract.
Yeah.
And I just got a random phone call from somebody, hey, the asphalt's already down. We're ready. It was like kind of the perfect situation. It's 4 courts. I was like, no way. So like the next day I went did a site visit, and one of the first things they asked me was, how long have you been doing this? They actually even said, are you a certified Sportmaster installer? And so I just said, hey guys, look, I'm new. I said, I just started this year, but the guys, I have somebody with Sportmaster that's agreed to come and train me. I can make sure that he's here with us for the entire job. This guy has been doing this for 10, 15 years. He trains contractors all over the country. You're going to get the best of the best with him. And also said, not to mention, like, this is I'm banking this for the livelihood of my family. Like, I care as much or more than you do that
Right.
this is done excellently. And so that really was the selling point for them, that they knew he was going to be there, and he was, and we did a great job, and the courts look amazing. So yeah, I was always so terrified of people asking that question, but I definitely, I think there's a way to be creative with how you answer it, but I think just let yourself off the hook and just say, I'm going to be honest. And I think a lot of people also want the underdog to win. They're going to kind of cheer for you. They want to support you. You're honest with them and they can sense that you have integrity, care. It's not going to be a huge issue. It will be an obstacle, but it's not going to eliminate you from being able to get jobs.
That's right. That's really good. I mean, that is such a tension of like, how honest should I be? Like, should I withhold this information that I'm a new contractor? And that's a very personal decision. But yeah, like you're saying, if you can have, that's why I remember our conversations. It's like, okay, how do we maintain integrity, be honest, and also find, like you said, just find a solution for the customer. So walk us through that job then. How did that flesh out? Because I remember you guys had it covered, but there was water somehow on the court, and the order of operations was all kind of jacked up.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was like borrowing a trailer from a friend. I was just like piecing everything together. I had like so many different people come help me on that job because just all of my friends that could just come spare a day.
Yeah,
Like every day we had like a new guy that would come work with us.
it's awesome.
The only thing that really was super stressful for me outside of it being, one of my first jobs was just that the guy who was training me for Sportmaster, he was only there for a certain amount of time. And so every time there was a delay, if it rained or whatever, we couldn't work that day. I was like, he's got to leave on Friday. I'm like, I better not be left alone here because they're going to be wondering where he is. And I'm going to be super stressed about throwing lines down for the first time or something. And everything ended up working out fine. I think I thought that because the court was covered, that just was we were going to be immune from any
Yeah, rain was a non-issue.
Yeah, anytime it rained, water still there on the court. I mean, it's not like it had sidewalls to protect from wind blowing stuff in and drainage of water and stuff like that. So,
So are you saying that like unexpected things happen when you do these jobs, Caleb? Is that what you're trying to say?
they almost never go as smooth as you think they will.
Like,
But I will say, like, compared to like other jobs that I've done since then, that job was actually like incredibly smooth and easy.
oh yeah.
It was also one color.
Well, it's kind of true for just the fact that you're pushing into something hard. This business, me and my crew leader were just talking about this the other day. We were like, okay, if we're honest, in the last 2 years of our business, like what percentage of the problems that you could face in the surfacing world have we faced and solved and overcome? Like, you don't want to say it out loud. You don't want to jinx yourself, but it's like, I think probably like 80%. So when you're starting out and you have zero of the problems figured out, or maybe 10%, that feels very daunting. But like you're saying, in the moment, it felt like this is, oh my gosh, there's water on the court. How are we going to deal with this? And now looking back, you're like, oh man,
Yeah,
that's a breeze.
we were so concerned with getting it dry. That way we could continue working. That way I had a stringer the whole time. And we were out there with I had 3 guys with leaf blowers. We were just doing everything we could to get all the court dry so the next day we would be able to work. I do remember being extremely stressed, and looking back, I really shouldn't have been. It really was a pretty simple job. And we really didn't have a ton of obstacles, compared to
But it's the stress. It's like what we're talking about with the imposter syndrome, though. It's the weight of feeling like, oh my gosh, is this going to work? I'm still on
yeah.
my second or third job.
Oh yeah,
Is
for
this
sure. I think, yeah, I can tell you times, I mean, even still, but especially then, I was like, oh, I picked the wrong industry. I just want out. This is too hard. I was just so stressed because in my head, you're always building up the worst case scenarios.
the owners are going to tell the whole world how terrible our business is.
Just you're thinking through the actual worst case scenarios, but
Cool.
that typically end up.
Okay, but you survived. You survived that job. Not only that, you killed it. So now, because you won a mid-sized job at a country club, now all of a sudden you've got a more prestigious customer who's talking about the fact that you did it. So as their members are coming in, they're asking, who did the courts? I've got a private court that I want to do. Was that true of that job for you? Did you get some more leads off of that one?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, this is the only job I've ever had a negotiation with. It's the only job I've ever quoted, had a counter offer. And, really because, they knew I was new and all that stuff. But I'll tell you, it was very much worth it. It's a very prominent pickleball community. They were my reference for every job that I quoted after that. And they were a glowing reference. So I'm really very, very thankful for that couple. It's much to me and gave me the opportunity that I used them as references, and they helped me get a lot of future jobs. So it ended up being a really, really good deal.
So good, man. That's great. Okay, so you said you did 3 jobs your first year. You kind of snuck in 3 jobs real quick. So that was we can't even really call that year one, kind of.
Right. Yeah.
Tell us about, what happened over that winter, and then what happened in your first full year. Tell us a little bit about how you scaled, how you started bringing guys on. How's it grown since those first couple jobs?
Yeah. After I got those 3 in, December, end of November, December, January, all I did was sales. And it was kind of crazy because for me, I don't know how true this is for everybody, but I was getting phone calls. Yeah, I didn't even know where they were all coming from. I mean, I think the Google business profile is really important. People Google tennis court or pickleball court construction near me, that you show up. Even still today, if you do that, I'm still the only business profile that shows up. So all of my competitors, they're mostly silk coating companies and asphalt companies that have it as a service, but they're not really in that niche of just pickleball and tennis courts. And so I was just getting phone calls constantly from HOAs and different places. And so I would go quote them and, again, use the references that I had, but started securing jobs. I mean, I think I got our first job for the following year in January 1. A lot of times with this HOA, it can take a long time.
Right, because they've got usually a lot of times with HOA, hopefully it's somebody from the board, but a lot of times it's, just somebody from the neighborhood is trying to get information so that they can bring it to the board, and then they have to be excited enough about it. Then they have to have a meeting about it, maybe 2. Then they have to decide if it's going to be this quarter or next quarter.
And they got a lot of times they want at least 3 bids and all that stuff. So, yeah, but I got that January 1st. I remember I texted you because I was so excited about that. And then it was a few weeks later, we got our next one, another one. I was like, oh my gosh, we got some pretty decent sized jobs already on the calendar. And I was constantly, every week, I was just getting more and more phone calls and going and quoting jobs. I started feeling like, oh man, it's kind of the ideal scenario because we were in the off season. I just had all this time to just do sales, to just build a schedule, to think through things, to plan. Yeah. And so it made, I'm not a risk taker at all. And it made things that should have felt like risk, not risky at all, like buying a truck and a lift gate and buying a trailer and starting to hiring somebody. I did all of that kind of in this November to March timeframe because I knew that I was going to need it. I wasn't really rolling the dice.
You knew you'd have the cash flow to make it all happen.
Right. Yeah. And the following year, we intentionally tried to start it slow. So I tried to start the year off with some easy jobs, small jobs.
Yep.
We also had our 3rd kid right in April. So it was a really slow start to the year. And then we were busy all the way through November.
How much revenue were you able to do your first full year?
Yeah, we did right at 300K.
That's amazing. That's so good. So at what point would you say, maybe you can answer it a couple different ways, how many jobs in or how many months in, once you started getting rolling in that first full year, at what point were you like, okay, that feeling that I had, that imposter syndrome, like that's gone now. Like I don't have to pretend like I'm a court surfacer. Like that's like, we're killing it. Because you truly have been for, feels like a year at least. So yeah, talk about that a little bit.
It was after we did a couple small jobs, a couple residentials. I'm trying to remember. I think there was 3, but they were all pretty small and not super intimidating. It was our first resurfacing job where we had right way crack repair, 2 tennis courts. It was at the time our biggest job we had done. I had Luke come and train me on right way for that one. I
Yeah.
was nervous about that one, but once I got that one done, I officially done on my own as a business without being with you as just natty.
Yeah.
More or less all the components of court servicing, and I felt confident going into all the rest of the jobs I had. So that was definitely the point where it's not that you still, I mean, even now I still get a
You're
little,
always learning and always getting humbled. Yes.
yeah. But I think at that point, I think you started hearing from me a little bit less. Like it was like I would
Yeah.
call you or Marco.
That's when I knew. I was like, man, I miss talking to Kaleb. Where's he? I guess he's out. I guess he's doing it.
I would call you like every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what do you think about this? Should I do this? Should I do that? And
Yeah.
then, I just started feeling like I know what to do. I started feeling less intimidated, just using my own intuition to solve problems. You just kind of learn with this stuff that everything's fixable.
Yes.
Like if you put a coat down and you did it wrong, there's ways to fix it that aren't like super drastic. So I just got less afraid of just doing stuff. And
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So we'll end with this. So, you made that comment about Taylor saying like, go to Cincinnati, go do this for our family. In the same line of thinking in what you just said, like the more I did it, the more I trusted my gut. So like there's something about starting a business that doesn't just affect how well you surface a court, but there's something bigger that's happening to you as a man. So maybe you could finish with an encouragement to our guys that are listening. Like this is what happens when you step into something that you feel like you're an imposter in.
one of the selling points for me, and again, I don't know how many people listen to this or believers or have faith, but I definitely heard some advice. That was from Jeremy, basically about how like whenever you have your own business, entering into something with the Lord that's a little bit different than work for an employer, and that your level of trust and dependency on Him is just going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
So I would say my relationship with the Lord got so much better, so much deeper and richer. Our marriage, going through a lot of stress, actually drew us together. And also, it really boosted my own self-confidence. Proving to myself that if I put my mind to something, I can accomplish it and I be successful. If I ever decided one day I wanted to do a different business, whether it's switching or just adding a different business, I have the know-how, I have the ability to actually to accomplish that.
Yeah.
Before, I really wasn't sure. I'd never done this before. I didn't know really what it took to be a business owner. And I think I've just realized like it is difficult, but it's not like this unreaching thing that nobody can accomplish. So I've proven to myself that I can. So yeah, that's what I would say.
So good, man. Well, dude, I have been very, very encouraged by how you've taken off. Your business is doing so well. I know this is just the beginning. I know so many guys are going to be deeply encouraged, like whether they start a court business or they're just on the edge of like, man, I need to, wake up a little bit and do something for my family. That mindset shift that you talked about, like I need to be on a trajectory towards something very intentional. Super encouraging, man. Thanks for sharing your story.
Oh man, thanks for having me on.
Well, guys, thanks for listening to today's episode. If you'd like to learn more about Court Pro coaching or discover what a season of coaching might look like for you, visit courtprocoaching.com. We'll see you for the next episode.